Stand by. The program will begin soon.
There's an example yesterday I saw of this woman who's been here. We might even play this clip. She's been here 20 years. She has 3 kids who were born here. Her kids are because of birthright citizenship, which is another subject that's coming up. And she never bothered to even try to resolve her immigration status. Not in 20 years. She has never tried to resolve her immigration status. Not through Republican presidents, not through Democratic presidents, nothing. And so now, she's worried about being deported because they put out the sob story of this woman. Well, that's not the average person they're even looking at right now. The average person they're looking at, crossed in the last 3 years, are CNN is cutting jobs to embrace the digital future. No, they're cutting jobs because, as I like to say, they suck. CNN is undergoing significant restructuring, planning to lay off about 200 employees, which constitutes approximately 6% of its workforce. This move is part of a broader strategy under CEO Mark Thompson to pivot towards a digital-first approach, focusing on expanding digital subscriptions and reducing costs from traditional TV operations. Wait a minute. Didn't they already try the CNN subscription service, which failed miserably? Which, if you truly have compassion for trans kids, you would allow them to all go through puberty, because 90% of kids who think they're trans change their mind once they go through puberty. That puberty is the fix for most of the problems. But you guys want the medicalization of kids and sterilization of kids and medical and surgical altering of kids who can't make that decision at 12 years old or 13 years old. Diablo asks, why is it when I try to show empathy and concern, people always misconstrue it? Last time I asked someone if their mom at least got a good check from the clinic that botched the abortion. Oh! Oh, God. Damn it, AD. I think you just need to find a gentleman.
Stand by. The program will begin soon.
I would be willing to bet everything I own that submitting a 22-minute video montage that shows the most egregious acts of violence you can find from that day, when the defendant in question is on that video for only 6 seconds and is seen walking calmly, is highly prejudicial and a violation of the defendant's due process rights. The person was found guilty and sentenced to 19 months in prison. Now, it took 2 hours to read through all of the documents that were in the case file. Every motion submitted by the defendant was denied. Every motion by the defendant was denied. How often does that happen? And every motion submitted by the government was granted. They turned a trespass misdemeanor that would have resulted in a $50 ticket into 5 misdemeanors and a felony charge by charging the defendant with a statute that would have required the Secret Service to rope off the section he was in, which they did not. They also charged him with a statute that would have been required them to prove Mike Pence was in the building at the time he walked through that corridor. He was not. And Finally, they used an Enron statute that the Supreme Court struck down. If you accept a pardon, you are admitting guilt. Period. That's the, because you can't be pardoned if you're not guilty.
Whether he can preemptive pardon, whether he can issue President's reportedly asking his staff whether he can issue preemptive pardons for himself, his family members, Rudy Giuliani. There's a simple answer: no. No, Mr. President. That
you
would
can't?
be a gross abuse
Oh,
of the presidential
it's a
pardon authority.
gross abuse of presidential pardon authority. Well, there you go. You accepted a pardon, Adam Kinzinger. You think you may have committed a crime. Oh, here, J.B. Raskin. Dirty Q-tip. Dirty Q-tip, J.B. Raskin. What else? What did he have to say?
Well, the seeking of pardons is
Yes, it's only on
powerful
one side.
demonstration of the consciousness of guilt. Or at least the consciousness that you may be in trouble.
J.B.
And that's
Raskin.
what's so shocking
Did he
about
get a
this.
pardon also? Wasn't he on that
The
committee?
seeking of pardons is...
He was on that committee. I'm curious if you're going to condemn that part. Are you going to condemn that pardon?
You know, Joe Biden pardoned a lot of people. Yeah, he should answer for that and explain.
Lots of murderers, lots of drug dealers, lots of people who killed people. Commuted the sentence of a couple murderers. One who, in fact, one drug dealer who people died from taking the drugs that they sold them.
Stand by. The program will begin soon.
The Obama-Aniston rumors have gone wild. Rumors have emerged on social media that suggest Barack and Michelle Obama might be heading towards divorce, with speculators linking Barack Obama to actress Jennifer Aniston. Those rumors have gained traction following Michelle Obama's absence from Jimmy Carter's funeral and the inauguration, and are based on tabloid stories and social media speculation without solid confirmation from the individuals involved. So far, they're still rumors, and I don't know why people are perpetuating them, but it is kind of fun to perpetuate rumors like that. No one's come out to, out and out deny anything. That's the weird part.
We should just take a deep breath and acknowledge the audacity.
The audacity!
Of a president who's so clearly concerned about his own criminal culpability.
Oh my God, his own criminal culpability and his son's business dealings. I know that they're talking about Joe Biden, aren't they?
And that of his family members.
Black the Boy asks, are cats really soul suckers? Yes. Yes. That's why I'm not into cats. Dogs, man. I'm a dog guy. Havocado Stabby, is there an aisle in the grocery store that is less objectionable to have sex in? Where do you come up with this shit? Dude.
Has done something no person in the world has ever done before. A dead man, a dead politician has risen.
Yes.
Somebody who 4 years ago at Davos, he's buried, a dead.
And I wonder how many people at Davos have been funding Donald Trump's demise that has failed. I wonder how many people at Davos, again, let me say it again. I wonder how many people at Davos have been funding what they had hoped would be Trump's demise. Bet you there's a few of them there. And it didn't work, did it now? Didn't work now, did it?
Politically known to me. He's now returned. This is the greatest comeback in political history of a politician. And then, therefore, he thinks he can do anything.
End of the show, every day on my show, if I put something on the screen or I'm talking about it or it's a topic or an article that I'm presenting in this show, I provide links to every single thing that I've talked about, and even more, the ones I didn't even get to. I drop them in the chat at the end of the show, and also I drop them in the description. So if you want to find these articles, they will be in the links at the end of the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only P-Dog Knight.
Yeah, it's me. I'm here. How you doing? What up? Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as P-Dog Knight on the internet. And welcome back to the P-Dog Knight channel on this Monday, the 3rd of February, 2024. And, boy, people were just arguing about all kinds of stuff over the weekend. Still talking about plane crashes and Doge and taking things that we're spending money on. And interesting little exchange here. Apparently Bill Kristol got under some people's skin, and people started looking up where some of Bill Kristol's money comes from. And it's coming from a surprising place. In fact, one of these just government agencies that people are taking a look at, we're finding out that they do a lot of stuff that we're just like, oh, is that the purpose? Could it? Is it also a front for the CIA? But that's a whole other thing. Anyway, got a lot to talk about and stuff I'm probably not going to get to, but that's okay because that happens every time I do the show. But before we get into it, of course, we're going to say hi to everybody. First in the chat today is Mr. Avocados Diabli, who gets the bell. Oh, that's pretty lame. What the hell happened there? Why is that so soft? What the hell? Volume's up. There's that. Let's try it again. Oh, there we go. I was wondering. You might have been able to hear it, but I couldn't. Also, good morning to Renee Mayette, Kara Soldier, Mike Savage, Blarg, Johnny Boomer Tex in the house, Tyre Alexander, The Scourge. Also, good morning to number one is in the house. Vader 35. Good morning, and Lord Stanhope on the honorable mention list of favorite Canadians. About to get. I wonder if you're pissed off about the tariffs. I don't know. Special Can Acid. Good morning. Also, Robert Banks. What up, Banks? How you doing? Willie won't lead the shows in the house. Amazing Disgrace is also in the house. And that's it so far. I mean, people are coming in slowly because I didn't do a whole lot of lead up before setting this up. I set it up, started the show, started the countdown, and boom, here we are. So there'll be people straggling in all during the show, but that's okay. We'll just do that. Also, we have our first sponsor today, Mr. Avocados Diablo. You are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. Already dropping 2 small bullets, aka $2.23, a small bullet at $2.23. First one says had a fever of 102 this weekend. That's brutal. And thought I had the strangest fever dream. A convention of Democrats completely going insane and doing the strangest shit. Then last night I realized I was just watching the DNC elect their officers, and it was no dream. Oh my God. How many of you watched that? That was incredible. I didn't see, and it's funny because I have no idea who they elected for the main chair or whatever, but I knew the assistant chair or whatever is none other than David Hogg. It's hilarious. Yes, you must have had that fever. You were not having a fever dream. I'm just saying. Also, dropped it on the second one here. It says, also, I have a question that is tangentially related to the anniversary that is today. How does one drink whiskey and rye when rye is a type of whiskey? Well, that's only true if you, I guess it is a form of, but there's some whiskeys that are not rye. So, I got you. Bye, bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. And good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing, "This'll be the day that I die." So, Well, let's get into the news since we're already you're already into one of the trending topics today. First of all, as we know, it is Super Bowl week, and that is trending apparently, and so lots of different things trending because it's Super Bowl week. One, Kendrick Lamar, who's going to be performing at halftime. Gee, I wonder which songs he'll sing. Although, now may not be into Kendrick Lamar. I'm not. I couldn't, other than that one song that they keep playing over and over again. I don't follow current music at all. I realized that when I saw some of the performances from the Grammys. I'm like, who the hell is that? But anyway, it's curiouser and curiouser if he will sing that song, that They Not Like Us or whatever song, because there's a lawsuit going on around that song, and he might have to modify some lyrics for it. It's going to be interesting to see if he uses it. But then the other person that they have joining him on the Super Bowl, I couldn't tell you her name even right now. But anyway, so the Eagles and the Chiefs are about to throw down this coming weekend, Super Bowl weekend. I am going to miss the game because I'm going to be on an airplane. Hopefully the plane will land safely. Coming back to visit my son. So I'm going to miss the Super Bowl, which, oh my God, I think I've missed the last 4 Super Bowls. So I guess that doesn't matter. I guess the only way I would really just force myself to stay up for the Super Bowl is if the Vikings were playing, only because they're a local team. But if there's 2 teams that I just could care the least about, it might be the Chiefs and the Eagles. Although, like I said, I've told you before, I grew up in Omaha, and the games we always saw were the Chiefs, the Vikings, Denver, and then also we'd see Bears too. So because we didn't have a local football team. So anyway, good morning, Mrs. Wild Wolf. I see you popping in here. So Super Bowl's coming up, and yippee-ki-yay. Also, obviously, other Super Bowl news though. There is one other Super Bowl item that's coming up. Brett Baer from Fox News is going to be interviewing the President of the United States in a Super Bowl Sunday pregame spotlight. Fox News chief political anchor Brett Baer is set to interview President Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Mar-a-Lago. I always say Mar-a-Lago. It's not a Largo. It's Key Largo, Mar-a-Lago. With the conversation to be aired during the Super Bowl pregame show, the interview pre-taped for broadcast on February 9th will be Baer's first one-on-one interview with Trump since June 2023. The setting featuring both figures against an American flag emphasizes the patriotic theme. The event is particularly noteworthy as it is the first instance where Fox News has opted for a news anchor over an opinion host for such a high-profile interview during the Super Bowl pregame, highlighting the shift towards more substantive political discourse during one of the year's biggest television events. So there you go. There's going to be a Trump interview. I guess Brett Baer's taking over for the famous Bill O'Reilly interviews. So there you go. By the way, I should probably say some thank yous here too. Super Bowl week. Wait, how'd that happen? How'd this get out of order? We'll get to it in a second. Let me fix this real quick because I need these to be in order. Otherwise, I'm I'll be worse than I am normally. Good morning, Resolute Germ, by the way, who jumped in the chat. Some thank yous, by the way, for people who have tweeted the show or just dropped a let's go in the tweet. Thank you, Mike Savage, Blarg with the let us go. And then here we go. Amazing Disgrace with the Flash. Yeah, let's get there quickly. Also, thank you, Resolute Germ and Amazing Disgrace for retweeting the show. And then there's a good one, Resolute Germ, dropping this one here. That's very flamboyant. So there we go. All right. Thank you guys for tweeting out the show. Greatly appreciate it. You are great Americans. So the reference to the day that we are talking about as far as Avocados Diaboli's first super chat. Today is also, that was really weird. What accent is that? Today is also the day the music died. Today in 1959, the plane carrying the Big Bopper, Buddy Holly, and Richie Valens crashed, and it's known as the day the music died. Particularly Buddy Holly and Richie Valens, who were very talented. Richie Valens was only 17 years old at the time. He looks like he's 30, but Buddy, and also it spawned the song that is very hard to get out of your head. That'd be American Pie, and Don McLean wrote that song in 1972. I have been to both the Surf Ballroom in Clear Lake, Iowa, and there's a little memorial at the crash site where that plane went down. And if you go on like Google Maps or Apple Maps or whatever, if you're in central Iowa, it will take you right to that spot. And it's a pretty cool memorial. They have a giant pair of those of glasses like Buddy Holly used to wear as a marker on the side of the road. And you walk about 300 feet into the cornfield, and then there's a memorial there with crosses and stuff like that, and a little guitar, and people leave stuff there all the time still to this day. I went there, last time I drove by there was about, I want to say 5 or 6 years ago. And because I was just curious, I was driving home from Omaha to Minneapolis, and I'm like, I know that's around here somewhere. I wonder if it's on the map. So I pulled up Google Maps, and boof, I'm like, oh, it has a marker on Google Maps that'll take you right to it. So yeah, it's pretty interesting that there's still people who leave stuff there, especially since most of the people who are probably around when those songs, came out in 1959, most of those people are dead. But there are a lot who were not, obviously, because it's not that long ago, I guess. So, yeah, a very interesting little spot in the middle of a cornfield in Iowa. So, let's see, February 2nd, 1959. It was yesterday, Buddy Holly's last show, 66 years ago. Tomorrow at 1 a.m., it is today. Buddy Holly's plane went down in a field near Clear Lake, Iowa. This is the last known photo of Buddy taken 66 years ago. Oh, wow. I didn't see this part. Also, Waylon, if you didn't know, you may know this or you may not, Waylon Jennings was his bass player. Roughly an hour and a half after this photo was taken, Buddy was gone. Here's Buddy's set list from that night. The last song he played, Brown-Eyed Handsome Man, which is a Chuck Berry tune. So anyway, rest in peace, Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and J.P. Richardson, a.k.a. the Big Bopper. Good morning, by the way. A couple more people showed up. Midnight Nexa, hello. And also, Amazing Disgraces. You were already here. Andrew Thorsten. Hi, Andrew Thorsten. And also, thank you. Oh, we got another super chat from Big Bopper's Ghost with a small bullet, which is interesting because that seems to be someone else's brand, but that's okay. Big Bopper's Ghost says, all I have to say is, fuck you, Waylon. This is all your fault. Oh my God. Yeah. So the only reason that Richie Valens was on that plane because he was sick. He was supposed to ride the bus, and so Waylon Jennings gave up his seat for Richie Valens, and that was a very strange fate, whatever, that he would not have been on the plane had he not been sick. So anyway, amazing. Yes, you got 2 shout outs. There you go. All right, moving on. Also trending, the Grammys were yesterday, which I really, I'm looking at some of the clips and I'm going, oh, this is not for me. Okay. But some of the biggest news from the Grammys last night is Beyonce got Album of the Year for that Cowboy Carter thing, I think. And Lady Gaga did a speech talking about trans people are not invisible, trans people, blah, blah, blah. And, the stuff that I've seen so far is the typical stuff that you'd expect at the Grammys. Although there seemed to have been a red carpet incident. And unfortunately, I can't share the red carpet incident on the screen. Basically, there's a couple actually. I can do the one with Jaden and what's his sister? Jaden Smith and Willow. Jaden Willow Smith. that's okay. Oh, I guess it's not on here. Let's just say the two red carpet incidents that seemed the most interesting were Jaden Willow Smith. Okay, Willow's is obviously over 18 now because she was kind of scantily clad, and Jaden wore this like hat that was a house that, you know, his face came out of the house. Let me see if I can find that. I don't want to show you the one that I can't show you, but I do. Let me see if I can find this. This is one of those things where you go on, what the actual hell was that? Let's see. Oh, wait a minute. What? I don't know if I can find it. Well, apparently not. Anyway, and then Kanye West's, I guess his current bride, basically came on the red carpet naked. She had a jacket on and she took the jacket off, and she had, basically it was a completely see-through dress and she had nothing on. And I was doing research on that, and yeah, she was definitely naked. Except for she was wearing a dress. You just couldn't see it because it was that sheer. Literally, I mean, it was a see-through, like all their glory there on the red carpet, and I can't show it to you. But she has some tremendous talent. Okay, moving on. So anyway, the other things trending, album of the year, which was album of the year. It's what's funny is lots of people are bitching about Beyonce getting a album of the year for the country album, and people mad that mad that she got the country award, because some people are like, oh, that's not really country. I don't care. It's the Grammys. The Grammys are kind of known for sometimes doing weird things and doing stuff. And you know what? It's not a terrible album. I've listened to some of that album, and I think people are more pissed because it's Beyonce more than it's just it's country music. I don't care if it's country music. I just laugh because I think the Grammys tend to do things that are, well, just whatever. They do things for whatever. But if you are mad that Beyonce got a Grammy Award, well, oh, and a lot of people saying, okay, country music's trending, like it's not. I already have that up there. It's country music. Some people saying it's not country music, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. By the way, let's see. John Rich, who is a country artist for sure, always. Folks are asking me, how does music awards show work? Labels, publishers all have blocks of votes. They make deals with each other. You vote for mine, we'll vote for yours, type of thing. And it has zero to do with who made the best music. Thus, Beyonce with Country Album of the Year. Nice, right? Same thing is true with the CMAs, ACMs, Billboard, etc. All work exactly the same. Last night, the Grammys outed themselves in a big way. Well, John Rich is, some of the country artists are upset because the people who do country music all the time probably think they should have got the album of the year. But then the other thing that's trending that I laughed about was Macklemore. Because remember when Macklemore won a Grammy for Best Rap Album, and lots of people are laughing about that. So some people saying this is the Macklemore revenge, and I just don't give a shit. Moving on. Let's see. A couple other things. And obviously, people have been talking about air traffic control all weekend. And there was a couple more incidents. So we know that the helicopter plane crash in the midair thing, that happened. And then we had the medical jet that just seemed to be diving straight into the ground. Well, and then there was a plane that caught a fire this weekend. And then there was a plane that ran into a luggage transport and knocked it over and whatever. All kinds of stuff going on, right? And so the air traffic controller people and people around airline safety, which I'm thrilled to hear because I'm going on a flight Friday, that's a big topic of discussion right now. So here it is, air traffic control policies under scrutiny following social media claims, okay? And this is just a grok summary of what's going on social media. Recent social media activity has sparked discussion over the staffing and management of air traffic controllers in the United States, with the allegations that the Trump administration offered buyouts to controllers. Former Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg chimed in and countering some certain claims and asserting that under his tenure, there has been an increase in funding and training for air traffic controllers. Although these claims require further verification, the debate includes references to past controller shortages and policy changes. So as I was going through this research, wait, let me do this first, though. Because a lot of people are putting this out here. Pete Buttigieg, and I laugh because Brian Krasenstein posted this. Pete Buttigieg said they can't spin this away. The Trump administration contacted air traffic controllers offering buyouts to leave their jobs. It's very easily proven fact. Wow. Okay. And I've been thinking to myself as I've been listening to some of these stupid arguments people are making, because a lot of people are talking about, oh, well, Trump, the FAA administrator, stepped down on January 19th, January 19th, just before Trump got into office. Oh, he disbanded some airline safety committee or whatever. And what was the other one? Well, one was this, that they said, oh, he was offering air traffic controllers buyouts. What exactly would that have to do with anything that's happened in the first 10 days of the Trump administration? Anybody got an answer for that? Anyone got an answer for that? Because when he says they can't spin this away, okay, the Trump administration contacted air traffic controllers offering buyouts to leave their jobs. Well, that would beg the question, have anyone taken up off the offer in the 10 days, actually 8 days, in which that airline and helicopter crashed? And how did that cause the crash? Because that's what he's implying. Or that because things that Trump has done in the first 8 days in office has something to do with the way airline safety is happening right now. They haven't changed anything. Everything's left over is carryover from the prior administration. In fact, apparently, and the number varies, we're down between 3,000 and 8,000 air traffic controllers less than they say that we should have or need. That seems to be that seems to be an inherited problem from the prior administration. And I was trying to make a point the other day. Let me see if I can find it. Because one of the things that kept coming up, and I know where it is. Hang on a second here. I believe I was replying to somebody. Oh, let me give you a couple examples too, because these are just wacky to me. So here's one. Aaron Rupert, apparently Tim Kaine. Apparently this was the Democratic talking point over the weekend. They all decided they're all going to go on media and on social media and all say the same shit. So here's Tim Kaine. He let Musk force the resignation of the FAA administrator. He disbanded the Aviation Safety Committee within DHS. He's got an OMB director who is pushing a hiring freeze and saying, I want to traumatize federal workers. He's an anti-safety agenda, okay? That's, okay? And then you got this Chris Murphy, who's, I don't know if he's a senator or what. This crash happened on Trump's watch after he deliberately threw the FAA into chaos by leaving the agency leaderless, firing the safety board, and bullying its employees to quit. The reason he's casting blame everywhere is he knows what he did. What does that have to do with the shortage that he inherited? No one's changed anything since he's come in there. So, God, where the hell is it? Where the hell is it? The point being, oh, maybe I didn't post it. Oh, by the way, so then Joe Walsh, Joe Walsh, not the good Joe Walsh, the bad Joe Walsh, says, call it what it is, bigotry. What Trump and his sycophants have been spreading since the plane crash is nothing but raw, baseless, hideous bigotry. It's bigotry, plain simple. So they're talking about how a lot of people are talking about the DEI thing, right? And it's the problem is not the people that they hired, even if it was due to DEI. Anyone who once they hire someone, they still all have to go through the rigorous training, right? But that's not the problem. If you took just a few minutes to find the facts, thousands of applicants who scored the highest possible score on the air traffic controller something aptitude test were turned away because during the Obama administration, it ended during the Trump administration, then during the Biden administration, they revived it, put in a second test that had nothing really to do with aptitude for air traffic controllers, but was designed to increase diversity among the ranks of air traffic controllers. And so people who scored perfectly on the aptitude test, thousands of them were turned away because of this other little like personality something test that was designed to get more other people. Okay. So they still hired people who passed the aptitude test, but not all of them because they didn't all fit this other box. Okay. So applicants who scored the highest possible scores on the aptitude test were turned away because they didn't meet the diversity goals of the administration that implemented them. And so it explains one of the reasons we were short thousands of air traffic controllers on January 28th, 2021. It's not about the DEI hires, the DEI hires that everyone always wants to complain about, which is not the problem, who surely go through rigorous training and do their jobs nobly and to the standards of their profession, but rather the DEI non-hires, the people that got turned away because they didn't fit the DEI goals, who scored perfectly on the aptitude test, who were fully qualified to bolster the depleted ranks, but were turned away because of priorities that had nothing to do with hiring high-quality personnel. Now, somebody bitching at me, oh, prove it, just the facts before you shoot your mouth off, and best come with provable facts or shut the fuck up because you're pretty sure you can't cause you parroting talking points, mega dipshit. Well, first of all, everyone here knows that while I support the president and voted for him, I don't know if I'd be called a MAGA. I'm not a MAGA hat working guy. He was the best thing we had and the best thing we needed for now. And I don't even agree with everything he's doing right now, but I think that I made a better choice than the cackling one. But anyway, so there's a link here. There's a lawsuit that began in 2015 regarding this, and it was approved for class action status in 2022. And a lot of these pilots that were turned away that scored 100% on the aptitude test were suing because in a class action suit because they were turned away for no good reasons. And the reason we're short 3,000 air traffic controllers minimum on the day the administration changed over from one administration to another, and then 8 days later there was a crash, may have been a contributing factor, and it may not, because we also have learned that since this time that the person who was doing the air traffic control for the planes that were inbound going into the runways, right, and the helicopter that was supposed to be two different people, and there was only one person there because apparently some supervisor let one of them leave for some personal reasons, and so there was only one person. Now, had we not had major staffing problems in the air traffic control realm, maybe, just maybe, that person who had some personal reasons to leave could have had someone else substituting there, so there would be two people doing the job that the one person was doing. And I'm pretty sure, I feel, I got to be honest with you, I feel very awful if I know that I'm that one guy when this accident happened. Can you imagine the burden that person has right now? I really hope, I know a lot of people are making a lot of noise about the, here, I've got to make a separate link for this, by the way. A lot of people are making a lot of noise about the pilot. Okay, now that they've released the name of the woman pilot. And that's probably not the problem. It's more likely that the person who was in that control booth that had them at the wrong altitudes or whatever. Because I'm pretty sure they were probably doing what they were supposed to do. And, obviously the helicopter pilots were on a training exercise. But still, even then, probably they don't have people with little experience flying around airports in helicopters. It just doesn't make sense that they would do that. So, anyway, that was all I wanted to say about that. A lot more than I intended. Real quick, thank you, Avocados Diablo, dropping another small bullet in the tip jar. You are just killing it today. And your friend Big Bopper, who says the Grammys. The people who famously gave Jethro Tull Metal Album of the Year over Metallica decades ago. Does this shock anyone? No, not at all. That's another good example. That was, oh my gosh, that was brutal too. So yeah, if you think about Jethro Tull getting a metal album, I forgot about that one. That was terrible. All right, let's move on. I got to go a little faster here. So anyway, that's why Macklemore's trending. We got air traffic controllers. We got that. I got that link there. My response to Joe Walsh. Let's move on to Corona. But before I do, good morning, Green Badger Outdoors, Darren Root, and Select a Boy.
Yeah, boy.
Corona is trending. And this is the smarmy prick from New York. Chuck Schumer. Well, let's just play it because I'm sure you're going to wonder. What the fuck, Chuck? Let me just play this. Chuck Schumer decided to talk about the Super Bowl and the effects of tariffs on Mexico and Canada. Oh, Canada.
Let's just take Super Bowl Sunday.
Let's take yes, Chuck, let's do that.
It's going to affect beer, okay? Most of it, Corona here, comes from Mexico. It's going to affect your guac, because what is guacamole made of? Avocados, both from Mexico.
Okay. So anyone knows about anything about beer, we know that most beer does not come from Mexico in the United States. Although, you know what? All right. I got a question for you. In the chat, when was the last time you drank a Corona? Corona, to me, was a trendy 90s beer because everyone started drinking Corona and putting limes in it and shit. And I never understood it because I never thought Corona was a very good beer. If you're going to drink a Mexican beer, I would prefer Modelo, okay? Or sometimes Dos Equis Dark is a good one. Even when in Mexico, I don't drink Corona. I drink Pacifico, because that's and if you go to Mazatlan, that's the brewery there. I never really thought much of Corona, but Corona became trendy in the 90s, and I guess people still drink it. But most beer comes from Mexico? Chuck, come on. Also, by the way, I was looking up this thing about the avocados, too. So, yes, Mexico produces a lot of avocados that come to the United States. But the last time I went to the store, I was curious, and I happened to pick up an avocado, and all the avocados in the store I went to were from Ecuador, which is fascinating because, and then, by the way, then I looked it up that Ecuadorian avocado imports have increased like 240% over the last few years. So, it's like, yeah, okay, so if we want to get avocados from Ecuador instead of Mexico or whatever, but yeah, the whole tariff thing, it's going to cause some pain at first, but I think they're all got up on their negotiating shoes. And, but it's weird because it seems like, and I don't want to hurt my Canadian friends, but it seems like the tariffs would be much more detrimental to Canada than it would be to us. I don't know. It's weird. Hello, Willie McComb, by the way. I drank a Corona in 2013. 3 years later, I stopped drinking. That's probably why you stopped drinking. Corona's not that great. I like Corona when the weather's hot. There are plenty of beers to drink. Yeah, it's like, as far as finding beer to drink, Chuck, I think we'll have some other choices besides Corona. It's just a weird statement by Chuck Schumer. So anyway, that's why Corona's trending and Chuck Schumer's trending. And in fact, here's how Grok summarizes it. Amid discussions on tariffs, Senator Chuck Schumer highlighted the potential rise in prices for Mexican imports like beer and avocados due to tariffs imposed by former President Donald. Why do they keep saying former President Donald Trump? He's the current president. Grok keeps getting that wrong. His comments were made during a press conference showcasing the economic implications of international trade policies on everyday consumer goods. However, there's been a debate and criticism regarding Schumer's statement around the origin of beer in the United States, with many arguing that a majority of beer consumed in the United States is domestically produced. 100%. In fact, I drink things from local breweries. One of my favorites is Castle Danger out of Two Harbors, Minnesota. That's a great Minnesota beer that's good. Hello, Ravon Harris, by the way, a.k.a. Novar Syrah. So anyway, let's see. Now, I'm just curious because this TikTok here, which I'm not, let's see what this is.
Chuck Schumer just got on TV right now. This is live. And he told America by holding up Corona, lime, and talking about avocados just in time for the Super Bowl next week that the Trump tariff is going to cost them $1,200 per year. I want to know, where was this concern for the American civilian and their spending over the last 4 years? Where was that?
Oh, interesting.
But the Democratic Party is now going to tell you everything that Trump does is going to cost you money. But everything they did over the last 4 years, completely ignored.
Good point. That's a good point. Where were they in, 2022 when inflation was at 9% over the prior year? Or, the other part is they're always talking about how they want to, we need corporations to pay their fair share. We need corporations to pay more taxes. Chuck and the rest of the smarmy pricks. If you think tariffs on other people's goods are taxes, imagine putting more taxes on your own goods, which are probably a vast majority of the shit you buy in the United States. Still, even though we import a lot of shit too. So anyway, it's kind of funny that Chuck did that. Moving on. Apparently, France. And now this was not a trending topic, but it caught my eye. Apparently, France is proposing to double their defense budget. French President Emmanuel Macron has announced plans to potentially double France's defense budget, urging greater European unity in defense matters. This initiative was discussed at the Informed EU Leaders Retreat, highlighting the push for increased European financing and cooperation in defense. The move comes in response to external pressures and aims to foster a stronger, more self-reliant European defense sector. Wow. Wow. That is one of those things that, hasn't Trump been asking them to do that? Like to step up in their role in NATO? That's amazing. So, and again, here, Trump's statements are pushing Europeans to unite. Is that what this says? Well, good. I think they should. In fact, I got an idea. How about they take over all of the funding for Ukraine's war too? That would be freaking awesome. Good morning, Evan S., by the way, and William McComb. They making us not realizing that Democrats and Republicans are the same team with different names. It's like two cops coming in the room, one threatening to beat you for information, the other saying we'll protect you from him for the information. Yeah, the Uniparty. Well, much of the Uniparty is bullshit. All right. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. Also, South Africa's in the news, and apparently Donald Trump is talking about stopping aid to South Africa. He posted this on Truth Social. South Africa is confiscating land in and treating certain classes of people very badly. In a situation that the radical left media doesn't want so much attention, a massive human rights violation at minimum is happening for us to see. The United States won't stand for it. We will act. Also, I will be cutting off future funding to South Africa until a full investigation of the situation has been completed. So he's talking about, a lot of the farmers in South Africa are getting, well, just say murdered and removed from their lands. The white farmers, you know what I mean? And so someone here says South Africa is 90% black with 10% Boers who could have left after colonialism ended. But no, the Boers still own 70% of the land. Our president is acting like a psychopath, being guided by even bigger South African psychopaths. So he thinks that's in relation to Elon Musk. It may or may not be. But apparently, all these apparently on a Boer graveyard. Each cross along here represents a farmer who was murdered from 2018 to 2022. And Donald Trump just called this out. So this is going to be interesting to see now that that's getting attention, what's going to happen in South Africa. Doge is trending. The government, what do they call it? The Department of Government Efficiency. So they've been on a tear. And some of it's questionable, if you ask me. I'm curious. A lot of people are like, for example, there's reports that that the people who are involved with Doge have been given access to the Treasury computer systems and whatnot. And I this is one of those, 72 hours, maybe more, to see what is actually true and actually what is not. But Elon Musk posted something like this. Doge is on the warpath. This is the government corruption that they've seen so far. And they're saying this is the rest of the iceberg that they haven't seen so far. Some people said, Elon said Doge has a great chance of success if the American people get behind the cause. That means it's up to you and me to spread the word on the treasonous spending already uncovered. Every dollar that Doge saves is your dollar, your taxes. Doge is the people's department. Okay. So some people are really like the idea of Doge doing this. Some are saying, wait a minute, nobody elected this. No Senate person has approved this. Why are these people getting access to certain sensitive areas of the U.S. government as they're going through here? And in fact, so here's an example. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said, if you want to start with waste, start with Elon's defense contracts at the Pentagon. In fact, we should start with transparency around defense contracts in general, which take up an enormous sum of public funds. But why don't they do that? Why they won't do that, will they? Which Elon Musk says, do you actually write these, or am I replying to your intern? No, I'm sure she does her own. But Scott Adams says Doge already drilled through untold layers of government bureaucracy and found the heart of the deep state beast, USAID. Now, this is our main topic today. And this is one that has some people very upset. USAID threatening a sitting senator after she asked their officials about how they spent our tax funds in Ukraine. The more Doge uncovers, the more I realize that our government operates like a cartel. Let's talk about USAID, which is, and also Musk is trending, obviously, because of Doge. And also the Government Accounting Office is trending because some people say, well, we already have a Department of Government Efficiency, the Government Accounting Office. No, the Government Accounting Office, well, here it is. This says, as a reminder, we already have a Department of Government Efficiency. It's called the Government Accountability Office. The GAO is real, was set up by Congress. Only Congress creates government departments. Same here. My question for all these Doge cuts and overspending is why the GAO has not been investigating these excessive contracts and payments all these years. Oh, that's a good point. So, the UNIPARTY is bullshit. It's a big club and we ain't in it. Hell, most of the people employed in government aren't in the club. Yeah, no, but all the bureaucrats are. They are the club. And so a lot of times, that's why these bureaucracies, have these career employees that really are doing kind of controlling the money. So let's get into the topic of USAID though, because lots of people talking about that. And one of them that happened to be in the mix here was Bill Kristol, which is, this is hilarious. So Kristol is one of the, imagine, in fact, William McCone, wouldn't Bill Kristol be one of the typical you're in the club? So recent social media exchanges have spotlighted Bill Kristol, where he openly prefers the deep state over what he calls the Trump state. Critics on social media platforms have questioned his stance by highlighting his role as president of a group called Defending Democracy, which is indirectly funded by USAID. Now, USAID is not a organization that does foreign aid. It mostly gives funds out to NGOs that are non-government organizations that that fund other things. And so when USAID gives money to a non-government organization, and then that organization starts handing out money to other organizations, sometimes it turns into a fact that this bigger organization is just funneling money into things that we don't want them funding. Okay? So Bill Kristol, president of Defending Democracy, which is indirectly funded by USAID through the Rockefeller Philanthropy Advisors, who USAID directly gives funds to. So someone here said, so here's Bill Kristol, the deep state is far preferable to the Trump state, to which this person says, well, for you, the deep state is preferable because you are listed as president of Defending Democracy, which is an indirect beneficiary of USAID through the Rockefeller Philanthropy Advisors. You are exposed. And again, this is the thumbnail showing, well, you can't see it in this picture, but showing how, we showed this chart the other day of how all these different non-government agencies tend to fund each other. And so that was on the map there. So, which will quickly, and Mike Benz if you follow Mike Benz on X, and I think he's on YouTube too, he's been researching this for years. What he says here, what you will quickly find as you enter the amazing USAID vortex of despair is that virtually every powerful political and financial motor of American society that promotes and lobbies for USAID is either directly on USAID's payroll, work at a place that is, or her donors do. And I wish I had saved the video because there was one he did here that was really good, but they're a little long. Here, let's just go in his account real quick. Let's see, Mike Benz, where'd it go? Here we go. There we go. Mike Benz. Maybe we should just check out one of his because he breaks this down extremely well. How long is this one? We're not going to do 48 minutes, but here's a couple. For example, we'll just get a part of this. So why did USAID sponsor the 70 NGO consortium that directly threatened newly elected 2019 President Zelensky in Ukraine with 25 red lines not to be crossed by his new government, ensuring USAID grantees control virtually every facet of how Ukraine could run its own country? So when the United States pushed for, we'll just say regime change in Ukraine that brought Zelensky in, USAID was already funding a lot of things in Ukraine, not directly, but indirectly through other non-governmental organizations. But then these organizations started giving Zelensky instructions on what he needed to do for that. Okay. And well, here, let's look at we'll watch a little bit of this.
Zelensky's first month in office, he was given a threat letter, effectively, by the U.S. State Department, where they had something like 70 U.S.-funded NGOs who wrote a letter to Zelensky ordering him not to cross the below-listed red lines.
70 non-government organizations Think of that.
Or else there will be political instability in your country. Now,
this is in response for what happened.
Okay, so let's pause there. I'm going to pull up the memo on screen. Elections were held on March 31st, 2019. April 2019 is when elections conclude. This Red Lines memo was issued in May 2019, 1 month after the new elections. And the Ukraine Crisis Media Center, guess who funds the Ukraine Crisis Media Center? Who is writing this Red Lines memo? Again, we present a list of red lines not to be crossed. Should the newly elected president cross these red lines, there will be political instability and you will be smart mobbed, rent-a-righted out of office. This covers everything Zelensky is allowed to do on security issues for Ukraine, foreign policy issues for Ukraine, economic issues for Ukraine, national identity, language, and education and culture issues for Ukraine, media and information policy for Ukraine, government functioning for Ukraine, whether you can take a shit in a public toilet or not in Ukraine.
Hello, K-Shaw. What's up, Kristen?
And who is this message coming from? It's coming from the U.S. State Department, the U.S. Embassy, right there in the Capitol, and USAID, the CIA, and who else?
By the way,
the National Endowment for
USAID. Some would have you believe that they might have some CIA ties. just say it. Just they just might. I'm not confirming anything. But that's why when he said USAID, he mentioned the CIA. That's why.
For democracy, the CIA. Oh, and who else? Fucking NATO. And who else? Internews, which is the Operation Mockingbird funded by the State Department. Oh, and Chemonics, which is the private NGO CIA. Literally the creator of Chemonics.
He started Chemonics in 1976 because I've always wanted to do two things: have my own CIA and to be helpful to people.
Said he created Chemonics because he always wanted to operate a private CIA. Okay? So this is coming from the CIA, the State Department, and USAID, with a bunch of other partners internationally, as well as fucking NATO. And that is who is telling the newly elected president, just 1 month after the election, less than a month.
Okay, you get the idea. Okay, and he goes through it in great detail. In fact, I will put a separate link just for that, for Mike Benz's video there. I highly encourage you to watch that one. But also now, other things that they're finding that USAID has been funding include, and again, indirectly, non-governmental organizations who get aid via another organization, who get aid from another organization, that are all funded by USAID. They've also found that some of the lawfare aimed at Donald Trump also somehow has been getting funding, again, indirectly, from USAID. Let's see, that's the Bill Kristol one. Let's go back over here a second. So, as we look through here, let's see. This is what you voted for. Panama folded, Venezuela folded, hostages brought back home, purging the FBI, eliminating the USAID, mass deportations. By the way, yeah, apparently, if you didn't know, over the weekend, former Senator Marco Rubio, now Secretary of State Marco Rubio, went to Venezuela. He went to Venezuela. And oh, by the way, the most shocking post on Twitter that I've seen in maybe 3 years happened yesterday. Senator Marco Rubio went to Venezuela, okay? And apparently there was some kind of a hostage situation. Venezuela was holding some Americans as something, and one of the things that Secretary of State Rubio did, and with, on behalf of the Trump administration, is brought those hostages home. And Venezuela has now agreed to take any illegal aliens that we decide to deport to Venezuela, and they're going to accept them. In fact, they might even send some planes themselves, kind of like Colombia did, right? Now, also, by the way, and USAID is one of the misconceptions about USAID. It doesn't stand for aid, United States aid, okay? It stands for the United States Agency for International Development, and their budget is bigger than the State Department's and the CIA combined. They have a huge budget, and they're just sending money. Hello, Episcopal Hellsong, by the way, and Evan S. They are sending. Look, the way they fund the NGOs, and then the NGOs fund other NGOs, and then they fund other NGOs. It's a big money laundering operation, in some ways. So some people are very upset that the administration, with some assistance from Doge, right, the non-government government organization that's doing some auditing of these agencies, they're very upset that USAID is losing some funding, at least temporary, or being frozen. It's a fascinating circle jerk, or non-circle jerk, I guess. 7 months ago, March 2nd, I tried to defund USAID. Only 81 Republicans voted aye, which is yes to my amendment prohibiting funding to USAID. 127 Republicans and 204 Democrats voted no to my amendment and voted to fund USAID. I fully support eliminating USAID. A lot of people, and by that I mean absolutely no one, have asked me, what exactly is this USAID I keep hearing about? And this video breaks it down. Learn how billions of American dollars have been used to influence other countries. So how long? We'll do this one. Let me see this super chat first. Thank you. Reaction on Puerto Rico. Oh, good morning, sir. And also it says check DMs. Okay, we'll do that right after this video. Breaking. USAID has officially been canceled. All staff got pink slips. $48.3 billion of our money each year will not be spent on scams. We the people can propel change because of X. Here we go. Let's listen. Here's what USAID does.
International development is simply capacity building. It is local and regional capacity building done across the whole world, i.e. internationally. The primal id in USAID, international development, is about capacity building of assets that can be used by either the Pentagon, the State Department, or the CIA for their own
So, yeah.
activities. So if you're the Secretary of State and you were asked by the National Security Council or the President to do something in a different country,
this is Mike Pence, by the way.
Stop the passage of a bill in a foreign country's legislature. How would you do that? And the first thing that I said is you would look at the assets that already exist in the country. Do we need new assets in addition to the ones that we currently have, or are the existing assets, can they achieve this simply by giving them enough money, giving them enough resources, giving them enough?
So USAID, not an aid. They're not feeding starving children. Let's put it that way. They're out there, funding certain things that pushing different governments into doing certain things.
Training, giving them enough support. One of the main ways that capacity building would be financed would be through USAID. USAID would say that it's doing something, funding a hospital system, funding universities, funding civil society organizations, funding media institutions, funding independent media in the region. Sorry, there's something in my eye. Independent media in the region on USAID payroll. And those institutions, those assets, would then be bigger and more powerful and more capable capacity, more capable of serving the State Department's goal, aka.
This sounds kind of like what's that thing called? Operation Mockingbird, maybe. MKO. I don't know. There's got to be a name for this.
advancing U.S. national interests. USAID has a bigger budget than the State Department, over $50 billion. It is a bigger budget than the CIA. The entire intelligence community only has about 72 billion. So that's the CIA plus the 16 others.
Yeah, Arab Spring,
and USAID
probably
has a bigger budget than the CIA and is almost the size of the entire intelligence community combined. That is how important USAID is to American statecraft. It is an intelligence community, a State Department, and a Pentagon assistance organization rolled into one. I just copied this from the USAID website. USAID carries out U.S. foreign policy, advances U.S. national interests by promoting broad-scale human progress. At the same time...
How's it going in, how's that human progress going in Ukraine?
It expands stable, free societies, creates markets and trade partners for the United States, and fosters goodwill abroad. The operative
Does it,
basis here
though? Does it always foster goodwill abroad? Kind of seems like it's funding a war right now.
Carries out U.S.
But not our war.
Foreign policy. This is not charity work. This is not aid. This is cynical, self-serving purposes. And what is it seeking to do? Free societies, open societies. Why does USAID want
open societies? That's an ironic choice of words, because often they work hand in hand with that open society guy who shall not be named.
Other countries to be open societies, because that's how you get the influence in. If a country is a closed society, they're closed off from USAID influence. We cannot capacity build our assets there. Closed societies box USAID out. China is a closed society. That is why we have not been able to topple the government of China, despite having tried for 100 years now almost. We have not been able to topple Putin from Russia. Why? Because Russia is a closed society. Like China, they kicked USAID out. It is not an open society. And so the USAID can't just take over their entire media ecosystem by funding 100 different media propaganda outlets in the region to sway hearts and minds. And remember, that's what this is. It's hearts and minds and cash. That's what soft power is. They call it hearts and minds work, but it's cash that does the moving of those hearts and minds, especially the leaders.
Money changes everything. So anyway, that's a summary. And in fact, even Robert Kennedy was talking about this before. But let me check this real quick. What's this here? There we go. Messages. Thank you, Reaction Puerto Rico. Oh, and also Miss Wolf, Wild Wolf gave me one too. Oh, okay. That was from the other day. Here's today's. Well, let's open this one here. So it says, if you haven't figured out that the U.S. involvement in the Ukrainian-Russian conflict is both a massive money laundering operation as well as a cover your ass op, I doubt your logical reasoning. No, of course it is. Yeah, it's closed society because they don't want to be ideologically subverted. Exactly. No, yeah, it's definitely Ukraine. That it becomes more and more apparent that it might have been better off just stop fucking with them, because that's why we have a war there. Of course, it helps certainly helps the military contract people, those guys that build shit that you can blow up. Check the date of the tweet. Oh, I know. I saw that. This is from April 21, 2022. By the way, that's the date of that was Reaction Puerto Rico's tweet, by the way. I'll put it back on the screen. Yeah, this is it right here. This is from April 21, 2022. Let's just say that Reaction Puerto Rico often has some amazing insight on things. If you're not following him on X, you should be. In fact, I'm going to put this out as a separate tweet. You got to follow him on X because he puts out some good shit. Here, we'll just do that, and we'll put it at the end over here. There we go. All right, so that is why USAID is trending. And did I already do that? Okay, I don't want to put Mike Benz on here every time. Let's fix that. Uh-oh. What the hell did I do there? USAID. And some people are just mad. So, like, wow, so USAID doesn't even stand for U.S. aid. It stands for United States Agency for International Development. We knew that. Let's see a few tweets about this. Milo Yiannopoulos is back tweeting a lot. By closing USAID, Trump and Musk have toppled the most gigantic global terror organization in history. Interesting. That's an interesting way to put it. A lot of people on the right are supporting this. While Elon Musk keeps shrieking harpies, what keeps the shrieking harpies busy with his USAID actions, Trump is busy getting things done for America as well. So, this is, when did this happen? A few minutes ago. Donald Trump posted, I spoke with President Claudia Sheinbaum of Mexico. It was a very friendly conversation wherein she agreed to immediately supply 10,000 Mexican soldiers on the border separating Mexico and the United States. These soldiers will specifically be designed to stop the flow of fentanyl and illegal migrants into our country. We further agreed to immediately pause the anticipated tariffs. Chuck Schumer, you can get your Corona now. Further agreed to immediately pause the anticipated tariffs for 1 month period during which we will have negotiations headed by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent, and Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick, and high-level representatives of Mexico. I look forward to participating in those negotiations with President Sheinbaum as we attempt to achieve a deal between our two countries. Now, because this whole tariff thing is on the Mexico side. It's mostly about the wide open border we've had, although we were trying to remedy that, and the drugs and whatever guns passing back and forth over the border. On the Canadian side, it's not, even though there is some fentanyl that comes over Canada, but not nearly as much as it comes through Mexico. But on the Canadian side, the problem is that most of the people that we're finding that come from terrorist watch lists have been coming in from Canada because of Canada's very open immigration policy, thanks to Justin Trudeau. And if you listen to Paul Poilievre or whatever his name is talk about it, he acknowledges that. And I think part of this, maybe my Canadian friends can chime in here. They kind of want to get rid of, let's just say that Trudeau dragging his feet on leaving office. This may be something that helps push that along a little faster. Who knows? But anyway, that's news I had not seen yet, what Donald Trump just said there. So they are pausing the tariffs on Mexico, and Mexico is going to put some troops on the border. Now, it's going to be interesting to see if those troops end up fighting some of the cartels at the border. That'll be interesting. And now, this is great. Sonny Johnson is replying to Elizabeth Warren. So Elizabeth Warren on this USAID thing says no one elected Elon Musk. As Donald Trump's allowed Musk to access people's personal information and shut down government funding, Republicans in Washington will also own the consequences. We must do everything in our power to push back and protect people from harm. Well, the most apropos answer to that is Sonny Johnson says no one at USAID was elected either. Ha! Go ahead, Sonny. Her bluntness always helps me enjoy it. And here's an email that USAID employees got to all personnel at the direction of agency leadership. The USAID headquarters at the Ronald Reagan Building in Washington, D.C. will be closed to agency personnel on Monday, February 3rd, 2025. Agency personnel normally assigned to work at USAID headquarters will work remotely tomorrow with the exception of personnel with essential on-site and building maintenance functions, individually contracted by senior leadership. Further guidance will be forthcoming. Here's something, too. This is Catherine Herridge from 2023. Records reviewed by CBS News indicate the U.S. government may have paid twice for projects at China Wuhan lab through the National Institutes of Health and USAID. By the way, USAID was, their money has been funding the Wuhan lab too. A probe into the funding is raising questions about the use of the money. And there was a report on CBS News for that. So yeah, this is, holy smokes. In 2 weeks, Mexico cave, Panama cave, Colombia cave, Venezuela cave, Canada panicking, mass deportations, hostages are home, DEI programs ended, bureaucracy slash the FBI purges are underway, U.S. aid funding canceled, gender ideology eliminated, Doge already saved billions, 51 intelligence agents lost their clearance, border crossing dropped by 93%, reservoirs filling up in California, just to name a few developments. There you go. Thank you, Avocados Diablo, dropping another small bullet in the tip jar. Says, they complain that no one at Doge was elected. Remind me when everyone who works for USAID were up for election again. Yes, that is, you were on the same train of thought as our friend Sonny Johnson. So, wow. By the way, this is, remember Samantha Powers? Meet Samantha Power, Obama's UN ambassador, who unmasked names of hundreds of Americans in secret intelligence reports, aka Russiagate, was found to be conspiring against Trump using her government.gov email and has been leading the criminal enterprise known as USAID for the last 4 years. Yeah. Now, and here's the, I was going to do this short clip by Kennedy too. I know it's hard to listen to him, but hey, I just got that like him a little bit too, and whatever. So, think of the substance, not the aesthetic.
There are riots it's called the Maidan Rebellion in Ukraine, which we're not told that we are financing those riots. The newspapers never told us, our government never told us. USAID, which is a CIA front, put $5 billion into funding those riots. Those $5 billion to a coup d'etat against the first democratically elected government of the Ukraine. It was a government that refused to choose sides and to say we're going to be on the side of the West. So we wanted them out. A month before that government is overthrown, Victoria Nuland, who's the part of the centerpiece of the neocon ideology and who is now a high-level official in the State Department, has a secret call with the U.S. ambassador, which is tape recorded and is now public, which anybody can go and look up, where she is picking the new cabinet for the Ukraine. Which for
why? Why was Victoria Nuland doing that?
U.S. Western cabinet. So because they're picking the new government.
Because again, if you didn't catch that, Ukraine, the prior government of Ukraine, refused to pick sides between Russia and the West. Okay, they just wanted to be neutral. They wanted to be Switzerland or whatever, and riots funded kind of by us, if you think about it, helped get the new government in there with Zelensky. And so now and then they are picking their cabinet, making sure they're all pro-West, pro-American, whatever. So you got to be, you're like, okay, and I'm definitely not taking Russia's side, but you can kind of understand why there would be a concern if all of a sudden the government in that country that's right next to you goes from kind of a neutral to all pro-West. And, it'd be like, look, what if the Russians had done that and all of a sudden Ukraine is all pro-Russian? How would Europe feel about that? You know what I mean? So
been a month before
it makes sense.
The old government is overthrown.
Is that how democracy? Is that democracy when Victoria Nuland picks your government?
Well, that's the point. Is USAID doesn't really do, and the CIA don't do democracy. The CIA has overthrown, I think, 83 governments between 1947 and 1997. That's a third of the governments on Earth, and most of them were democracies.
And some of them end up being, well, dictatorships or theocracies or Taliban or ISIS. You know what I mean? So, And so here's another question. I wonder how many. Here's Lincoln Project. Trump is never going to make Americans' lives easier. He will only keep helping his billionaire friends become even more disgustingly wealthy. Working families will suffer as a consequence as food, gas, and taxes will go up, and Republicans conspire to cut Medicare. They did not. Medicaid and Social Security. The wealth gap will grow. That will always be the plan. This guy says, I wonder how many other never Trump grifters got money from USAID, like Bill Kristol. Also, USAID funded video games to highlight gender issues. What? USAID promotes gender equality and improved health through Half the Sky movement mobile games. This is from 2012. Today, United States Agency for International Development launched 3 mobile phone games through its public-private partnership with Half the Sky movement. As a part of the agency's continued support of gender and family issues, the games are designed to create global awareness and bring about social change in the areas of health, gender equality, and empowerment. Games tackle key issues related to health and gender equity. The Family Choice game aims to increase the perception of girls' place in and value to families, and with a focus on keeping girls in schools. Now, look, maybe I can understand that in some other countries. 9 Minutes introduces players to the key do's and don'ts of having healthy pregnancy. And in Worm Attack, players work to rid themselves and their communities of intestinal worms. What? These 2 mobile games advance 2 of our most important priorities, the promotion of gender equality and the use of science and innovation to accelerate development. Okay, I got a question. Some of you are big into games, right? And I enjoy games, but not as much as I used to. Have any of you ever heard of these games? The Family Choices, 9 Minutes, or Worm Attack? Just curious. Holy moly. That sounds like some really great things to spend money on. Someone here says, what Samantha Power did with your tax dollars at USAID should be an FBI investigation. She used your money to fund crazy radical programs and far-left activists. And also, look, here, let me get this straight. Fauci's NIAID and USAID sent over $40 million in U.S. taxpayer support to scientists in Wuhan who was working on bat corona emergence research, who also became patient zero for COVID-19. And the completion of that funding was 2019. This document was obtained with a FOIA request. Give them a follow. So, yeah. They were funding the Wuhan lab and patient zero. Holy shit, Batman. All right. Let me just run through the other headlines I have. That's got to be it for today. But just some of the big news over the weekend. Exclusive U.S. citizen, one and another person killed by terrorist cartel landmine in Mexico near the Texas border. Texas man and a friend he was traveling with in Mexico died when their vehicle exploded after driving over a cartel landmine. The fatal explosion comes after Breitbart Texas reported on prior explosions where innocents sustained injuries. The report forced Mexico's government to confirm the issue and sent out a series of notices warning locals about the use of cartel landmines on dirt roads in Tamaulipas. Not familiar with that area. So yeah, if you're driving too close to the Mexican border, be careful. Also, there were a bunch of anti-Trump deportation protests over the last several days. And what's ironic about these protests is that many of the protesters waving Mexican flags, protesting the United States. Now, I thought these people wanted to be in the United States. I thought they wanted to become Americans. You would think they would be waving American flags, but no, they're protesting waving Mexican flags, which begs the question: if you're carrying that flag, the Mexican flag, why don't you go carry it in Mexico? But you know, it's funny too because so many of these new illegal border crossers, or not even, I shouldn't even, they're illegal border crossers. These migrants, illegal border crossers. Most of them aren't even coming from Mexico. And I always wonder when we start talking about this whole illegal immigration thing, and everyone's like, oh, you just hate Mexicans, you just hate brown people, you blah, blah, blah. So you assume that it's Mexican people who are the illegal border crossers all the time? Because like a lot of the Mexicans now are on guest worker programs, like the guys who pick bears and shit. A lot of them are in guest worker programs. But no, they're not mostly from Mexico. We're sending them all over the world. Hundreds of protesters marched the street across the USA on Sunday to protest President Donald Trump's deportation policies. Protesters in Dallas shouted, Mexico, 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 while carrying Mexican flags. Video posted on X by Keep Dallas Safe shows dozens of protesters marching in the streets while carrying Mexican flags. If you love Mexico so much... Okay, so there you go. That doesn't make sense. You want to be here? Carry a different flag. So they want to go back. Yeah, apparently they want to go back. Yes, number one, they want to go back. Also in the headlines, council members in Chicago are ripping, or council members are ripping Chicago leadership for refusing to budge on the sanctuary laws. As deportation officers continue to zero in on Chicago and Republican officials gear up for investigations into the mayor, moderate aldermen are bemoaning the city's leadership reluctance to wind back its strict sanctuary city policy. Well, both. Policy problem. The Trump administration is executing large-scale immigration enforcement operations across the United States and making Chicago a top target, in large part because of the city laws restricting cooperation between local police and immigration and customs enforcement, a.k.a. ICE. Border Czar Tom Homan has argued that localities that work with ICE agents make it easier to focus on criminal migrants, as agents are not forced to make apprehensions throughout the community at large. See, yeah. So in these sanctuary cities, because the local governments that may have sanctuary policies refuse to cooperate with ICE and keep people in jails that commit crimes that the people they are looking for, rather than doing that, they are releasing them into the community, which forces ICE to go out into the community. And then when they find the actual criminal aliens they're looking for, they also happen to find other aliens that are probably not supposed to be here either. So they sweep up more people than the ones they're looking for. And then they get pissed off because, well, you're just sweeping up people who might have just been here and they were just trying to get it work and whatever. Well, then maybe those localities should cooperate with ICE, but they're not. So it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Anyway, despite pressure from the White House and national surveys indicating a majority of Americans support enforcement of immigration laws, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson has defiantly stood by the city's sanctuary law. Some of the few moderate members of the Chicago City Council have become frustrated over the matter. Quote, "The liberals control everything," Chicago Alderman Nicholas Sposato said to the Daily Caller News Foundation. So if they want to remain a sanctuary city and protect criminals over law-abiding citizens in our community, then I guess that's the way it's going to be. Well, that's why they're catching people that they aren't looking for. And you know what? That's your fault, Brandon Johnson and the mayors, the leadership in Chicago. Oh gosh, there's another. Oh, this is awful. Another one, illegal El Salvadorian indicted for murdering a West Virginia woman and burning her body. Calderon had previous arrests and convictions in El Salvador, including sexual assault, murder, aggravated robbery, DUI, and narcotics-related crimes, according to the Berkeley County Sheriff's Office. He illegally entered the United States on an unknown date after he was released from prison in El Salvador in 2021. Calderon first sought asylum in Canada, but was turned over to the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, which released him into the country after giving him a notice to appear before an immigration judge. He was scheduled to appear in court on May 8th. Just 2 days after the murder, ICE told Newsweek a detainer had been placed on him. So, you know, it's like, can we not? Why is that we can't figure this out? Why would they allow someone with this record in the United States? Certainly you wouldn't, as far as legal immigration, you have those charges in the country you came from, you would not be here. But apparently the Biden administration doesn't give a fuck, or didn't give a fuck. They're gone, thank God. By the way, Hakeem Jeffries, the House Minority Leader, had some interesting words, and I was thinking, my gosh, the violent rhetoric of Hakeem Jeffries. We should be concerned, because I remember when Donald Trump used the word fight. You know, you need to fight for what you believe in, blah 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 blah, and they said the word fight was, encouraging violence. Well, listen to this shit. Listen to Hakeem Jeffries here and what he said, because this is amazing what he said here. Wait, hang on. There we go. Listen to Hakeem Jeffries here. This sounds like a call for violence.
We are going to fight it.
Fight.
Legislatively, we are going to fight it in the courts, and we're going to fight it in the streets. We are going to...
What? Wait, what was that last one? Wait, let's hear that one more time.
Fight it. Legislatively, we are going to fight it in the courts, and we're going to fight it in the streets.
We're going to fight it in the streets. Are you encouraging violence? Wow. That sounds like he's encouraging violence. Did anyone else feel like that? And then Jasmine Crockett, she said something about Trump brought evil to the White House, suggests his voters are all white supremacists and all J6ers. And so are all J6ers. And she brought up a study might have been 2 or 3 years ago, or close to after Biden got in office. And the FBI came out with this guidance, so to speak, claiming they said there was a bunch of articles about it where they were saying something like 90% of extremist violence, notice the words extremist violence, came from right-wing, ideology. Okay. But then as you read the article, you had to realize this is back, this is the same time around where it was Antifa too. Oh, maybe been even during the first Trump administration. But the same definitions did not include Antifa. Their violence was not considered extremist violence. So, for example, they might have, let's say there was an incident between Antifa and the Proud Boys where they were fighting. They would consider the Proud Boys part of that as extremist violence, but not Antifa's. And so they cherry pick all these different incidents because, like the one that you're always going to hear about, right? You're always going to hear about Dylan Roof. Okay, because that's extremist violence, or some of the mass shootings that were right-wing people, but then they don't count any of the left-wing shootings of the same sort as extremist violence. And so if that's the way you do your survey, by only classifying violence by the people who might have a right-leaning or right wing or whatever, or extreme right, whatever. If you're only counting those as extremist violence, even though you have left-wing extremist ideologues, whatever, committing violence, well then of course 90% of the violence is going to be, extremist violence will be from the right. So she, in this diatribe she went on about, she says, Let me make sure you got all the facts. Most extreme crimes that take place in this country are committed by white supremacists. Okay, now she embellished that even more. And 80% of extreme crimes are committed by white supremacists in this country. Do you know who went up there January 6th? White supremacists. Now, the January 6th people, she thinks everyone who's not on her side is a white supremacist. Do you know who went up there January 6th? White supremacists. This ain't me telling you. You can Google this if you don't believe me. But it was the Oath Keepers. It was neo-Nazis. It was the Proud Boys. They were all white supremacists. Well, the Oath Keepers are not white supremacists. They have no racial agenda at all. But they happen to, they're probably mostly white. But they're definitely on the right. And the Proud Boys, the, Afro-Cuban white supremacist leader, so on and so forth. So a lot of the myth around the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys has to do with January 6th, and also that debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump back in the during the 2020 election, where Joe Biden brought up the Proud Boys. Whoever wrote his note cards had him bring up the Proud Boys, and the myth of the Proud Boys just blew up into something that it's completely not. So it's kind of crazy. All right, real quick, let me finish up here. Thank you, Tyre Alexander, dropping a 230 the tip jar. Says, we'll fight them in the land, we'll fight them in the beaches, we'll fight them in the air, we'll fight them at the sea, we'll fight them and win. Sorry, I could not help myself. Fuck Hakeem Jeffries. Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate it. There you go. Thank you. All right, the only other articles I have open, I'm not going to get into them. I'll just give you the headlines here. McConnell is very upset with Trump still. He said they haven't spoken for quite a while. Apparently, Mitch McConnell was on 60 Minutes over the weekend, and during the broadcast, he said that he was still at odds with President Trump despite his election victory last November. Oh, really? We did not notice. Also, let's see, in the Daily Wire, top Democrat strategist obliterates Kamala after loss. That's James Carville, who's just been ripping her to shreds lately, if you want to see that. PJ Media, the new DNC chair is batted up, but the new vice chair is far worse. Yes, David Hogg is the DNC vice chair. Oh my gosh, I am so excited. This should be a shit show. The Democrats have had their annual winter meeting, and you'd think that after all the losses they suffered, they would have seized the opportunity to make a course correction. The American people have let them know in no uncertain terms that they're had enough of what they're selling, and yet their only response has been to promise to sell more of it. You got to see, maybe I'll see if I can find it. Their meetings for coming up with a chair and vice chair, my God, it looked like a fucking Saturday Night Live skit. The way they were talking about, well, we need to have 3 women, or we have to have this balanced, leadership, and so if you vote for 2 women and 2 men, then you might have to have a non-binary person, and this and that. It was hilarious. I'll find it, and maybe we'll go over it tomorrow. PJ Media, New York Times shock poll reveals the complete collapse of the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party approval rating is in the crapper. Let's see. Example. Okay, no, I don't want to see that. This is too much editorializing in here. Anyway, it was like the Democratic Party's approval rating is like at 27% positive, 57% negative, or 34 and 57% negative in the New York Times poll. People are not happy with the Democratic Party, and good. That's all I can say about that. And finally, someone was talking about Panama folding. Panama will not renew Belt and Road Agreement with China, making it the first Latin American nation to leave the initiative. Panamanian President Jose Raul Molino said his country would not renew agreement with China's Belt and Road Initiative following a visit from Secretary of State Marco Rubio, a move that will make it the first Latin American country to leave the initiative. Molina, speaking to reporters on Sunday after Rubio's first foreign trip as American diplomat, said he believes the agreement is due for renewal in a year or 2. He said he would study whether it would be finished early or not. The news is a blow to Beijing, which views Panama as critical to its foreign influence efforts in the Western Hemisphere. Chinese businesses operate ports near Panama Canal, which the United States owned and operated until moving control to Panama in 1999. So another diplomatic win for the U.S. as far as that goes. And that is going to be it for today. Let's see. Let me get the links here ready real quick. Let's see. Close that. There we go. All right, here come the links. I got to go. Thanks, everybody, for joining me today on the Morning Night Live. Appreciate sponsors, too. I don't know what's going on with PayPal, but it's they're not going through, but they're listed as pending, so hopefully that'll all work out. Oh, shoot. How do I do that? Hang on. Let's try this again. Let's get rid of that, and there we go. Okay, here's today's links in the chat, and I'll drop them in the description also. Thank you, everybody. I got to go. My name's P-Dog Knight, and I am out of here. Bye. See you tomorrow on Tuesday. Bye-bye. Hey, this is P-Dog Knight, and thanks for watching today on the P-Dog Knight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm P-Dog Knight, and I'm out of here.